You're listening to Scheduling Sin with me, Snowmill. Oh, God. There's nothing hotter in my mind than just being in this very public area with other people around where I'm just like naked, like just spread eagle, open, ready to get it, while you're just climbing on top of me. Well, hello, Mr. Snow.
Hey, girl.
Hey. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Ready to talk about our fun weekend?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for those of you who follow us, you know that Mr. Snow basically threatened everyone's life about being able to go to this hotel takeover. And we were able to go. And it was just a lot of fun. And we have so much to kind of talk about and just kind of debrief. But most importantly, you and I have not had a night away, just the two of us, in quite a while. And it is amazing to me. So it's about 4 hours away where we went.
Yep.
So it's a 4-hour drive there and obviously a 4-hour drive back. And I think the road trip part is just as fun for us sometimes. Just being able to actually spend time together uninterrupted, not having to worry about snacks and juice boxes. And
maybe our own.
Turning on whatever song the kids want to hear.
We went 4 hours in each direction. So we drove down to Blue Ash, Ohio, to this hotel takeover that was sponsored by the Champagne Group at an Embassy Suites there in Blue Ash, Ohio.
Right.
And we didn't turn on the radio in the car in either direction.
Yeah, because we just basically talked and laughed, and yeah, it was a good time. It was a beautiful drive.
It was.
Late October and kind of heading down towards mountains. I mean, it was just beautiful. Kind of all the trees and mountains and hills, and so that was really kind of cool.
So the way this is set up at an Embassy Suites, and if you've never been to an Embassy Suites hotel, this hotel style is that they have an atrium in the middle that goes from the ground floor all the way up to the roof.
Right.
And the rooms are organized in rings on different floors around that atrium.
Right. So the doors are like all in.
Yeah. The doors are all inside the building, but they're all onto that hallway that overlooks the atrium.
And it's just like everything is open.
Right. It's a very, very open space. Now, the way they do these hotel takeovers and the links to the organization that does them will be in the show notes, but they're very, very popular and they sell out really, really fast.
Yeah. And I don't know if they have like a 2-night minimum. They do
at the host hotel.
Okay.
This was a Friday night and Saturday night event.
Right.
And there is a 2-night minimum. A lot of people were getting there Thursday.
Right.
There were a lot of people that arrived on Thursday. And they did do, Thursday is not an official party day, but they did do like I think a pool party
that evening
and some other kind of light meet and greet type stuff that Thursday night. Mm-hmm. And then Friday night really officially started the party, and then Saturday night too. Mm-hmm. We did not get signed up in time to get a room at the host hotel.
Right.
But the way this is, the location they picked is really very cool in that, at least for this purpose, there happens to be a hotel across the street.
Right.
That's also nice and is accessible right there.
Right.
So we did not get a room at the host hotel, but we did get a room right across the street. So that was convenient.
Right. And so that actually worked out really well. And honestly, like, as we kind of talk a little bit more, like, I think I would have preferred it that way in some ways.
Yeah. Well, we'll kind of touch on that a little bit later. But so we did have some friends down there, Alex and Joe, and they had a room at the hotel. We actually met them through the first hotel party we were supposed to go to.
That we did not go to. Because they host Telegram chat groups that lead up to these parties, which are really cool. It's an opportunity for you to kind of meet people ahead of time, flirt, talk to people, kind of get a sense of who you might be talking to while you're there. Right.
Which is really, really nice, because if you came into this environment completely cold,
it's a lot of people. It's just, it can be very overwhelming. And it is very clear that there are already established kind of groups of people.
Yeah.
And so as someone who's brand new or doesn't know anybody and walking in cold, like it would be even more so intimidating or hard to kind of break into that.
It certainly could be. So we were very lucky that that Alex and Joe invited us to crash their hotel room.
Yeah. And that was really nice. And so because it's an Embassy Suites, like the room that you walk in from the door is like a little living room, like there's like a sink and like a table and a couch. And so it's obviously more of a living area. And then there's the bedroom kind of attached to that. So everybody kind of decorates their room. So every hotel takeover, I guess, has a theme. And so you can decorate your hotel room any way you want. And so because we're right by Halloween, it was a Halloween themed.
And some people went all out.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
That's like a whole element of it in and of itself.
Yeah,
if you're coming to one of these things, like
the idea of moving in to this hotel room,
yeah.
like people move into these hotel rooms.
Yes. There were some people that went just floor to ceiling crazy with it.
Yeah.
There were some rooms that were really, really very cool.
Yeah. There were people that had brought stripper poles.
Yeah. Oh, we saw like at least 3 or 4 stripper poles.
I attempted to take a ride on one that did not go well. There was one room that had a swing set up in it.
Yes. Yep. It had a swing.
There was one with the St. Andrew's cross.
Yep.
And everybody decorates their door and the window kind of next to their door with obviously there were things that were more quote unquote scary,
right.
Like they had like the hand blood smear that's like, don't come in, or, that kind of stuff. And then you had some that were just a little bit just more fun. There were some that had like fog machines and it was just crazy.
It was. There were a lot of flashing lights, a lot of fog machines, a lot
of flashing lights,
a lot of stuff like that. And people also had outside their doors, they had these little, not everybody, but some people had these little tables with like Halloween candy or shots or, different things that were
there
out
was
there.
One that had like a skull. It was like a skull,
like a pitcher,
like a, what's the word I want? Like a water fountain thing, But
yeah, it had
like,
a little, like a
hollow pitcher. And so they had like some type of drink in it that you could come get. And then there were some people that had like fun candies and stickers. I got an awesome pineapple sticker that I don't know why I just find to be hilarious, but it says, "You a fine apple." And it's like a little pineapple sticker. And there were some that had like little games kind of set up outside their room.
Yep.
Like there was one that they had I guess it's like a stuffed cock. Like kind of suction cup to their door,
right?
And they had rings on it, so like you could toss a ring on the cock and see who won.
Yeah.
I mean, there was all kinds of stuff, but a lot of people obviously decorated their rooms. I mean, most people did. Had something going on. There was one room that we didn't get to go back to that on the glass part next to the door, it said, "Fulfill my husband's fantasies."
Oh yeah, that was a good idea. And it had
all these like 3x5 cards that said "passionate French kiss," like flash him, suck him off, like all these different fun things. Like, and you could
very
like pick
mild
a card.
to wild.
Yes, very much so. But you could like pick a card and
like take your card and go inside and do your thing.
Yeah, which I thought was kind of fun.
I would love to know how that worked out.
Yeah.
Like it would be really fun to talk to those people. We only got to stay the one night.
Right.
For us with, having kids and all this other stuff, for us to plan a night away in another town is
it's a project.
It's a project. And so, we're fortunate enough to manage one night away. Mm-hmm. 2 nights would be that much harder. So we were there just the one day, but it would have been really fun to get a chance to talk to those folks the next day and ask them like, how did that go? Like, how many cards did you burn? And
I think it's the environment obviously is just very charged.
Oh, yeah.
And it is interesting. It kind of started at like 5:30 and it went, we left at like what, 2?
Well, and I didn't know what to expect because we've done the club thing before, and the clubs don't even open their doors until like 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock.
Yeah, 8 or 9, probably.
And even at 8 or 9 o'clock, it is, I wouldn't describe it necessarily as slow, but
there's like hardly anybody there.
There's people there and they're just kind of dancing and hanging out. And it doesn't get to be a real party environment until 11 o'clock.
Well, after midnight.
Or so.
Yeah.
Well, So here we are at this hotel party. I mean, everybody's there. For the
Right.
most part, everybody that's going to be going to this thing is already here.
Right.
So I didn't know what to expect as far as time. They had the first official thing started at 5:30. It was kind of a meet and greet thing.
With like hors d'oeuvres.
Yeah, like little hors d'oeuvres. And we noticed that was not super well attended. There was not a lot of people that came to that.
Yeah.
And it seemed like in the early part, because down on the floor in the atrium, they had this amazing stage set up.
Oh man.
With big screens.
Huge screen,
and-
huge stage.
Oh yeah. And they also had this
yeah.
cool big tent effect because they had this ring that was suspended in the middle of the atrium by like wires or whatever from the upper floor.
Right.
And then they had red and white streamers going out in a big arc to this ring. And it kind of really kind of gave you that big top sort of effect.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
The stage was huge. There were a ton of couches and stuff leading up to the stage.
Yeah.
But in the early going of it, it seemed like there weren't a whole lot of people. And
it was amazing to me that like, I just kind of have to, I think about, and I imagine the majority of these people are in similar boats. Like people are working and they have lives and they have other stuff going on.
and it was Friday.
And it was, well, that's true. But I just think to myself, like, I want to start at 8 because I want to be done by 11. The idea that it didn't
this
get
was before
really
8 though. This was more like 6 or 7 probably.
Yeah, but like the fact that like, I mean, I'll be honest, I was really impressed that we made it till like after 2 because
we're
so old.
But
like I was up at 6 a.m. You know what I mean?
Engaged and like ready to go, like you don't notice it. But
yeah, but you could definitely tell like at 9 p.m. there were a good amount of people.
Oh yeah.
At like 11:30 it was that much more.
It was packed.
And at like midnight it was, you know what I mean? Like it did not get smaller as the night went on. It felt like it got more people were there as the night went on.
Right. And I think people were kind of just being casual about maybe going out to get dinner and relaxing and stuff like that. And it really definitely filled out and got going later in the night. But down there on the atrium level, so there's the big stage and there's all these. And when I say there's couches, I mean, I'm not talking 4 couches. I'm talking like
there was like a dozen or 2.
at least.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of sitting areas, for people to be. And then off of that, like adjacent to that in one of the, like how hotels have,
like ballrooms or whatever. Yeah.
Meeting rooms, things like that. In one of the meeting rooms, there was a porn play area,
Right.
which had a projector and a big screen and then a bunch of probably 8 would be my guess. Like 8 large, like king size air mattresses that had sheets on them and nice pillows and stuff. And they were all kind of spaced out. And that was one play area. And then right next to that was in a kind of a smaller meeting room was the vendor area where they had lots of fun stuff.
Yeah. I got a metal pineapple straw. I was pretty excited.
It is pretty cool. And there were a few good things in there. I actually regret there was a vendor that was selling these like pineapple hats.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I should have got one of those, but I didn't.
Yeah. But they had like tumblers and hats and shirts and underwear and panties. And then they had like a bunch of stickers and just all that kind of stuff.
All that kind of stuff. And then there was also in a slightly different area, there was a toy vendor too, that was selling all kinds of different toys and games and things like that. So that was all there.
Yeah. I mean, in some ways, it's kind of amazing that the vendor area wasn't bigger. Like there weren't more vendors there because it was pretty small.
It seems like there would be an opportunity for it to be bigger.
Yeah. And so that was, why there were so little. I mean, there's probably a variety of reasons for that.
Yeah. So there was that. And then also on that lower floor, there was the impact room.
Yes.
Which we went into literally for about 30 seconds.
Well, because we kind of missed it.
We sort of were busy.
We were busy.
And it does happen. It opened. What time did it go? It was like 11 to 1 or something like that. It was later.
Yeah, I think 11 to 1.
But they had, from what I saw in there, they had like a spanking bench, a St. Andrew's cross, maybe a swing. I feel like there were several other pieces in there.
There's a lot of pieces there. And we were recording at 11.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And
we didn't plan that right.
Yeah, well, there was some recording and some playing and
Yeah.
and it was like, oh, we need to go to that. And by the time we did, we walked in there and the guy that was
Indiana
in there,
Jones guy with a whip.
oh yeah, he was.
Oh yeah, he was like kind of rolling up his whip.
Oh,
he's like, sorry guys, I'm about to close this up, and I'm like, okay, maybe. All right, cool. Good talking to you.
Yeah, so he was there. So that's definitely on the to-do list for a future event.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot to take in.
It is.
And we've said this before, like, always plan on doing things twice.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Because the first time you go to anything like this, you just don't know what to expect, and you don't know how to pack, if you will, like what you should bring, what you should not, what do you need, and I think in a hotel setting, like one of the big things that I saw everybody have was a cup, right? Because you couldn't walk around with a can of beer or like an open like bottle of anything. So
they didn't want glass and all that kind of stuff. So like
everybody has their own tumblers,
right,
or cups, and again, hence why I got a cool metal straw with a pineapple on it. And one of the vendors sold kind of these fun tumblers.
Right.
And so we're kind of, we are contemplating making some scheduling sin snow milk tumblers.
Yeah, we got all the stuff actually to do it today of all places at Hobby Lobby.
Because we love to lobby our hobbies.
So there's a little bit of irony in that. I think.
So there's some creative places here, but like you wouldn't necessarily think you have to bring a cup to these things, but like having a cup to walk around with.
Yeah. There are a few things that like you want to, if you ever go to one of these, you want to bring. Mm-hmm. The best way to do it, honestly, is to have a room, because then you're going to have all your stuff there.
Right.
If you don't have a room,
I don't know if they have lockers or anything.
Well, I read that they did. There was supposedly like an area where you could put stuff. Okay. I never did see that, but I also wasn't looking for it.
Well, sure, because we didn't need it.
If you can find somebody, friends, whomever, that might let you toss a bag in the room, like that would be you'll really appreciate that you had that. But you'll want to bring some changes of clothes. You want to bring some, like, for example, we're not costume people.
No.
Like she's better at it than I am, but I suck at costumes. For one thing, I feel silly in them.
Yeah.
And I don't like that. And for another thing, I'm just not creative, and I don't have a lot of time to like put a big elaborate costume together. Although
I will say our quote unquote costumes for this party were fun.
I think they were fun, and they were simple.
Very simple. We're simple, comfortable people.
So we got these baseball jerseys. Yeah. And they're white with red and black trim.
Right.
And we got these great iron-on letters.
Yeah.
And we put Mr. Snow and Mrs. Snow on the back of these jerseys.
Yeah. And I was number 6.
And mine was 9. And that was it. And it was simple.
Right. And so for me, because, I can't just go in a baseball jersey and jeans, right? So I had this baseball jersey with this really, really cool lacy red bra and these very nice lacy red panties. And then my red tennis shoes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I walked around basically with this open jersey that you can see my red lacy undies.
Yeah. For most of the night, as we walked around, you were wearing your jersey.
Yeah.
Your panties.
Yeah.
Your bra.
Yeah.
And shoes.
Yeah. Because you're going to walk around this hotel party. You can't really walk around barefoot. I mean, you can, but
you wouldn't necessarily. I mean, you wouldn't walk around any hotel all over the place barefoot. Right? Yeah. So.
And they were red sneakers. So they matched my red jersey.
Yeah. And the other thing we did, and I was glad we did this, in the Telegram group, I posted a couple of times hoping that people would see it, pictures of our jerseys.
Right.
And I said,
I think you posted other pictures as well, not just of me and my jersey, but probably me with my tits out wearing the jersey.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. That happens. So everybody in the group saw my tits. Well,
more than once.
Yeah. A lot of people saw them. So.
But I posted them in there, and anybody could have done this. It wasn't related necessarily to the podcast. It was just so people would say, hey, I recognize their out. And people were also doing that with their costumes and stuff like, hey, this is us. And it helped, because doing that, people that we had talked to in Telegram were able to kind of recognize us from that and then come say hi. And actually that was a huge thing, because I had talked to a number of people in Telegram, but there's so many people there.
So many people there.
It's not like it's not easy to run into people.
Right.
Unless you coordinated that
right
ahead of time.
So the fact that you posted those jerseys, and those were like pretty easy to spot.
Yeah.
You know, so that was really helpful. It was really funny. So we were one of the things is you kind of do loops, you know what I mean? Like you walk around, like the second floor, the third floor, the fourth floor,
you
just kind of walking around.
Cruise the loops.
Yeah. And you know, and you can see everyone's doors, and some people have their doors open, and everyone's just kind of walking around. And there were a couple times that people saw us. They're like, Snow MILF. And I was like, it was kind of a celebrity moment for me. I was like, what?
That was a real kick.
That was super fun. And we had one sweet lady came up to us, and she's wearing this super hot red lacy thing. And she's like, I love your podcast, and it's so relatable, and your voice is so sexy. And I'm like, is it? Is my voice sexy? But it was so flattering, and just, it kind of catches you off guard a little bit, because you're kind of like, I have no idea who you are. And like, you're coming up to me and thinking, like, telling me all of these things about me. And it's just weird.
Which is totally weird, because that's not, I don't know. I mean, we're not in this for the celebrity part of it at all, but like to have somebody come up and say that, it's kind of mind blowing.
Yeah.
A little bit, because like we've talked about on the show, we are sitting in our living room right now.
Yeah.
You know, and when we
I'm looking around at like all of the mess that my children have left in our living room.
When we first started this, we thought no one's going to listen to this. We're just doing this for us. We're doing it for fun.
Well, right. But I also remember specifically, we like recorded like our first 3 episodes. We're like, what else are we going to talk about?
I don't know. You know, yeah, exactly. And so to go to something like this and to have people, to be clear, it's not like it was a lot of people. It was a handful of people, but like to have anybody say, hey, we listened to your show. That was so cool.
It was so cool.
It was really, really cool. So Thank you to everybody who said something nice, and that you don't realize how much we really appreciated that.
I think, and we've heard from a couple people, it's really humbling, really, but it's like people are saying, we really appreciate you guys, and you guys are just relatable. And, you know, we had some people kind of come up to us and say, man, this guy gets me. Like, these people understand what I'm going through and how I feel about this, and answering some of the questions, or validating some of the concerns or fears or worries that you may have, or thinking about people that want to engage in this. And so that was really, it feels nice.
It does. And one of the best compliments that we get from anybody is, your podcast really gets us talking. Mm-hmm. You know, and what we've had people say, well, we kind of listen to it and we pause it and then we talk. Or we've had people say, you know, it's brought up things that we didn't think to talk about.
Right.
And that is, for me, that's the win right there. Like, that anybody is benefiting from it. And the idea that this conversation is helping other people have their conversations, I couldn't ask for anything more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that's like we've talked about in the past. We don't make any money on this. This isn't a monetized thing. It's just, that is what we're getting out of it. That's really what makes it fun and worth it.
Well, and it also gives Mr. Snow an opportunity to sit on our couch without his pants on.
I'd be willing to do that anyway.
I know.
But we recorded an episode with Alex and Joe, and that's going to come out. It's probably going to be a little while, because this episode's going to come out in a couple of weeks. Theirs will probably come out after that. When we got done with that episode, I think it was Alex said, "You're wearing your pants." And I was like, shit.
It's all over. We have to re-record.
We have to re-record this entire thing, because I don't podcast with pants on.
And I will tell you,
I did make up for it later in the night.
Well, that's true. That's very true. I will say I appreciate your mantees today. They're kind of a nice pumpkin spice orange.
They're fucking festive.
Yeah, they are fucking festive.
They're fucking festive.
They're
this is some pumpkin spice fucking underwear right here.
Yeah. You know what it makes me want to do?
Go to Starbucks.
Go to Starbucks and get a pumpkin spice.
You dickhead.
That's okay. I'll drink your latte later.
So anyway,
but it was a very cool vibe. I will say, and again, this is probably like my old lady in me. It was so fucking loud.
It was. They had a live band from 8 to 10, and then they had a DJ going on after that.
And because it's all open,
You can't hide from it.
You can't hide from it.
You cannot.
And it is a challenge, which I think why reiterating having a place to kind of go back to.
Yeah.
Where you can like shut the door and actually talk to people is kind of nice. Like you can still very much hear the music even with the door shut, but it's that much louder when you're outside of your room or downstairs.
For sure.
Right
I will
there.
say the band was really good.
Oh, the band was awesome, but it was just, I guess I'm too old for clubbing days, right?
It was
like,
one of
it's
those,
just a lot.
It was that type of experience where you go down to the main floor.
Right.
Where the band is and where it's all going on.
Everyone's
and it's
kind
really
of
cool.
dancing and hopping, but
everybody's dancing and stuff
at each other.
Well, that's just it. Like we're standing in a group of 4 people and the person kind of adjacent to me says something and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And to me, I enjoyed that, but it's hard to be social in those really, really high noise environments.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Well, and it was consistently loud.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like it's one thing when you go see a band and of course, like during that hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever, it's loud. Okay. I'm good with that. That makes sense. Right. But it was literally starting at like 7 with the DJ, the live band from 8 to 10.
Right.
And then even when they moved the DJ up to the 5th floor, when the bottom stage closed at midnight or whatever it was still really loud.
Right.
Like,
and so that made it, I will say that that's probably my only kind of critiquey thing about it, because you want to be down there in that social environment, because that's kind of where you're going to meet people. That's where the mixing thing's going to happen. But if you can't talk to them, it's almost impossible to meet them.
Right. So we were, again, just very appreciative of the fact that we were able to kind of crash at a room and throw our stuff down, but also we could go back there and like sit and hang out and talk and whatever.
Which we did a lot.
Which we did actually. Like we went down. I feel like we kind of went down for a little while. Our eardrums got blasted and then we kind of went away for a while.
Right.
And then I remember being in that room, still very much being able to hear that music like it was there.
Right.
And then we opened the door and I'm like, Jesus, it's so loud. So that, I mean, again, like old lady in me, I guess, but it's, for those people who work all day, have all things, and then you go to this, you kind of need that stamina.
Yeah.
Like you need to know kind of what you're walking into. Because it can be, and then for some people, and Jesus, when I was 20, we would go to the fucking club. We would be in the club for 3 and 4 hours and like leave and our ears are ringing. But I did that when I was 20. Like, we all did that when we were 20 and dumb. Right. But now I'm like, well, I don't want to do that anymore.
Right. So that was, there was that. But honestly, once you got upstairs and towards the rooms and stuff, you could still hear it really well, but it was still manageable. Like you could talk and stuff. So that part was good. And I love the fact with the hotel rooms that you could kind of break out and go have these little private sessions in these various rooms and stuff. That was cool. I will say it did cut down a little bit on some of the kind of voyeurism, exhibitionism factor compared to a club.
Well, right. Like, so because that downstairs is kind of the lobby area. I mean, that's what it is for the hotel. One of the rules of this hotel party is that you kind of have to be covered. And you can't really engage in these activities in the public, quote unquote, public lobby areas. Which makes
sense because there are still employees of this hotel that work there and they're not part of the lifestyle necessarily. And so you have to be respectful of those folks.
Right. And I will say the definition of covered up,
that got pushed a little.
Yeah. Like I was wearing my jersey and my panties, which initially I thought, I kind of brought a pair of like capri leggings, to kind of wear. But I
immediately realized
that, most like there were women walking around in much less scandalous clothing than I was, even without my little leggings on.
Yeah.
Although I think it would have been a very different vibe if there were like people were able to do some of that stuff like on the couches down in the lobby. And
I think that would have been a neat thing, but I completely understand why you just can't do that. Mm-hmm. But I agree. I would have enjoyed it if you could.
Yeah.
That would have been fun for me, like, because part of what I enjoy about the club experience is being public, being exhibitionist,
being watched
and watching and seeing other people. And so I did miss that a little bit. One of the, so it's a double-edged sword with the hotel rooms, because the living areas up front, and you have in the bedroom areas are all kind of in the back. Like you go through the living areas, little hallway thing, and then you're into the bedroom. And there was a lot of stuff going on in those bedrooms.
Yeah.
But you couldn't observe it from, like, if you weren't invited to it and if you weren't in the room, you wouldn't see it.
Yeah.
And we kind of missed that compared to the club environment, because in the club environment, you've got playrooms, and a lot of them have windows and doors, and you can see what's going on.
But even the public, like, sitting areas are kind of up for grabs.
They
you know
are.
what I mean? Like,
they are.
It is not like you can't do anything in this area. You have to go here. Like, there comes a point in a club, like you look around at 1:30 and like there's just fucking happening everywhere.
You're like,
like everywhere.
Caligula. Yeah, it's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
It's a lot of fun.
And it's awesome. And that is kind of our vibe. Like that's kind of what we're looking for. This was, it was not quite that. It was a little bit different. And we did notice we took part in the public play areas.
Right. I think we were a little late to the party.
Though. We got that was like 1 a.m.
It was like 12:30, maybe. I don't know. It was later.
And when we went in there, I think there was like one or two other couples.
There were a couple other couples, but like they weren't like, I want a public play area to be much more, well, busy, maybe for one, but also like, I want to be able to like look around and people looking at us and me looking at them and,
right.
Kind of like silently like cheering, you go, like get some,
like
you know what I mean? Look
crowd,
at what I'm
right?
doing. Like, what are you doing?
Exactly. Right.
And it wasn't really like that.
It wasn't quite like that. They did have upstairs on the top floor, 2 rooms that were hotel rooms, but they were designated as playrooms. So anybody could go in there and play.
But they were empty. There was nobody in them. And I think again, like it kind of goes.
There was one couple in the one.
Yeah,
when we went
that's
in there.
True.
There was one couple in the, but again, with the bedroom in the back from the hallway,
right?
There really wasn't a lot of watching opportunity. But also most people had rooms there. They did.
So like they didn't need to go to a public. I mean, like they didn't need to do that.
So if you're looking for that really exhibitionist, really voyeuristic type of play, this was not super compatible with that style. Unless
you had a group of people that like you could, because I think the smaller groups of people that were hanging out in rooms together, you probably could have more of that. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, other than that, no.
Right. It could have been. I think if it could have been very open that way, if people wanted to be. Like if they wanted to play in the front living room area of their rooms and leave the door open, it absolutely could be like that. I just didn't notice a lot of people doing that. We saw some really fun costumes. We did see some fun costumes. The Pope was there. The Pope was there. There was a couple nuns. The nuns were kind of hot. I'm not going to lie. Those were pretty hot costumes. There was also Mr. Snow was taken aback by some German ladies and males in their little lederhosen. Gosh, there was one lady who had like the full kind of like St. Patty's girl. Like the busty beer girl. The busty beer girl. Yeah. With the real short skirts and the lederhosen. And she had her ass out. Mr. Snow was, I had to pick up his jaw off the floor. I had a moment. He was drooling a little. Oh my gosh. If they're listening and if they had a very unique costume set. So and they were the only ones that had that. If they're listening, they'll know. But the girl who was wearing the black panties, he really wanted to touch her ass. Oh yeah. She looked amazing. I mean, she had some nice tits too. Like, I mean, amazing. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. And there were a lot of really hot costumes there. There were also some weird ones. Yeah. There were some weird ones. There was one guy in a Michael Myers costume. Like he was wearing like the coveralls, you know. And he was a tall guy, coveralls with just the Mike Myers mask. And he was by himself and he literally had a plastic knife. Yeah.
And he was walking around independently, not saying a word to anybody, just walking. It was creepy as fuck. Like, I thought to myself, this is like a real horror movie. Like, this is funny. And then he fucking stabs you, right?
Right.
Like,
Right. Like he was very committed to the part.
Oh yeah.
He like in the elevator, we took an elevator ride with this guy, and it was like several other people,
all these like drunk fun couples,
right,
like,
and him, and
he's
he is just
like
standing there lurking in the corner and staring at everybody.
Oh my God.
And you know, God love him. I think he creeped everyone out.
Yeah.
And I think he was having a ball just doing that.
Yeah.
He spent all night walking around just being creepy.
Yeah.
I don't know how that played out for him towards the end of the night.
I mean, I don't think he got laid. If that's
maybe
what you're
he
asking.
did. I don't know. Like
listen,
that's
got their thing, right?
I did see him towards the end of the night, and he didn't have the mask or the knife anymore, so he'd probably already murdered somebody. But
makes sense.
He eventually, I guess, he knocked it off. But
yeah,
he was pretty committed to that.
Yeah, that was a little much.
There were a couple of guys. There was one guy. This was funny. He had a black. It was like a sweatsuit that had the bones on it, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But he had a big dick.
What, a big boner. Like, it was a big bone sticking out.
And the dick had a bone.
Yeah.
And he had like this inflatable pump thing that could make it go up and down.
Right. He was like smacking people with it.
He was doing the helicopter with it. He's up there just waving that thing around.
Yeah.
Kudos to that. That was a good one. That was good.
Yeah. So, it was just a lot of things. But, you know, the majority of the women were basically in lingerie.
Yeah, especially in the latter part of the night.
Yeah. I did not take off my jersey. I had a cat costume with like a nice like ribbon around your neck that had a bell.
Yeah, you had one costume change.
But I didn't go into
Didn't use it.
Didn't use it. Because I kind of liked having the Mrs. Snow jersey on.
It was pretty fun. It was pretty fun. One of the really fun things we did that night, Alex and Joe again were nice enough to allow us to use their room to record a bonus episode. This is a show first.
Yeah.
And it was a bonus episode. We recorded it in one of the rooms in Alex and Joe's room, and we put a sign on the door. And I think I put a little note out on Telegram that at 11 o'clock, we're going to be recording live.
And how many people were in there? There were probably like, what, 9 people in there? Like the 4 of us.
Yeah.
Plus probably like another 6 people.
8 or 10, maybe.
Maybe it was 10.
8 or 10. We might have gotten a few more people if we had been able to leave the door open. But with the music outside, it was so loud, we had to close the door.
Yeah.
So right around 11:05, 11:10 or something, we closed the door. I wonder if we had kept it open, how many more people would have drifted in.
Yeah.
As we had been going. But, you know, I mean, you never know. We still had a great time with the group was in there.
And we played. And so, you know, in engaging in these conversations, like we don't know any of these people, so we didn't really know where to start. So we had a card game that was really kind of a weird card game. I feel like I want to write another card game in replacement of this because this one was just weird.
Well, we bought this at like a sex toy store, and it's a card. It's like who's the biggest freak?
Who's the biggest freak? And there's like 800 questions.
Yeah, it's like 8 questions per card, and there's so many cards.
And so
some of them are really good and funny conversation starters,
and some of them are
were
just ridiculous,
ultra lame.
Like, have you ever thrown a slug at somebody?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means.
How many quilts do you own?
Right. Because quilts are sexy. But then they did have some that were like, you know, have you ever used a toy on a partner? Have you ever had sex in a public place? Have you ever, you know, and of course, like you ask these questions among this group of people, and it automatically turns into story time. And that turned out to be really fun.
Which was fantastic.
Which was awesome.
Which was fantastic. I mean, we all had a lot of laughs. I highly recommend you check out the bonus episode.
Yeah.
The sound quality is kind of wonky, but it's the best we could do
given what we had
in the circumstances.
Yeah. But we just had a lot of fun. I mean, I think even if we didn't release that as a recording per se, it was just so much fun.
It was.
To just sit around with people and have great conversations and laugh and tell stories and Like there was no judgment and no, it was just so open. It was a lot of fun.
There was some judgment, but
fair enough. Okay, well, maybe there was some judgment.
You'll see that there was some Taco Bell related judgment.
Well, I feel like anytime Taco Bell's involved, there's going to be judgment.
There's going to be judgment. Yeah, that's going to happen.
But it was fun.
Yeah, and this group of people they were so much fun, and a few things came up. Mm-hmm. One of them was electricity play.
Right. So there was a guy in there. So a couple things actually. So one of the a group of the people that were there were all kind of together.
It was a poly group.
It was a polyamorous. What do they call them? Kitchen table.
Kitchen table polyamorous.
Polyamory? Yeah. And so there are 7 of them involved in this relationship. So like you have, I think like 2 married couples, but they each have boyfriends or girlfriends. And I mean, so again, every polyamorous relationship is very different, but they were kind of a part of this group, and they were so nice. And
they were
open.
fun.
Yeah, they were very open with their situation, but also very open to ask us questions if you want to know something. I mean, they were very willing and wanting to share their life and their story and their experience, and so they were super fun. Well, one of the guys in this relationship, one of the questions I think in the card talked about, like, have you ever electrocuted yourself or something like that? There was some theme of electricity in one of these questions. And this guy was like, yeah, we do electricity play. And I'm like, and I'm picturing a cattle prod.
100%.
Like, that's what I'm picturing. I'm picturing
jumper cables,
100%, like car battery and like some guy
jumper cables and your tits just like a swinger taser.
Right. And I'm like, that does not sound fun to me at all.
It sounds funny though. I'd watch it.
Yeah. I mean, when you're tased naked, do you just shake that much more? Like,
well,
would titties just go like
you know how they say you shouldn't brush your teeth naked? Mm-hmm. You should also not get tased naked. It's not a good look.
I feel like I want to Google tased, like people that are naked that get tased. I think that would be okay.
Well, that's something fun to do later.
All right. You think there's a Pornhub channel for that?
Oh God, probably. So anyway, I did reach out to Tina a little bit on this.
Yeah.
And so, cause I'm curious I don't know. First of all, the idea of it does not turn me on.
Right.
But I'm open to experiences. I'm open to definitely 100% open to watching it. And I might be open to sort of lightly trying it.
Well, so this guy, he was talking about how he engages with it, but also I guess he does some demonstrations and all the things. So like, I would say anytime you're interested in learning about anything, that's a little out of your comfort zone or that you don't know, or that may involve pain or those kinds of things, like you really need to go to somebody who knows what they're doing, you know what I mean? And kind of have a demonstration or have that conversation, because you don't want to just try it on your own, because that can get real. Oh, speaking of that, do you remember we were walking around and we saw that one guy with the lady on the massage table face down, and he had a thing of fire?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like apparently
that's an offshoot, but yeah.
But you know what I mean? It's the same kind of thing. Like in my head, right?
There's some crazy sensory stuff going on.
Like I feel like, and we've had this conversation, like we are in some contexts and in some circles, we are so far off the vanilla trail.
Right.
Right. But I feel like we are not as far down the trail as
in many
others.
ways we have not even scratched the surface.
Yeah. And so sensory play, I think, is one of them, because I guess sensory, not only with like floggers and whips and those kinds of things, but also like electricity and fire, apparently. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
And this is, I will say here, I don't know that I want to get tased.
I mean, I don't know if anybody really wants to get tased.
I should clarify for anybody who might not understand. They're not really tasing each other. This is, it's not like when you were in high school and you shot bottle rockets at each other. It's not like that. It's it is more of a sensory thing, and they have these wands, and they have like,
well, they compared it to like when you used to put your tongue on a 9-volt battery.
Yeah, that comparison got made.
It did.
I was
But, like,
struggling with that one a little bit.
But it wasn't like this, right? Like, it's not like that. It's kind of like just like a little, it's like a little pinch.
Yeah, right. I mean, you didn't have like involuntary seizures, and you don't from this either. I think it's like you're supposed to get like just kind of a tingly,
right? Your hair does not stick
feeling,
out, like
yeah. Now, Tina, we talked to Tina a little bit briefly in the Discord.
She's our resident.
She's our resident kink expert, and she, sure enough, does have experience with it. She is not directly into it herself, but some of her friends are very engaged with it, and she had some really good comments, I think, for newbies who might be exploring it. In that, it is very, very important that the equipment you're using is in good working order.
Oh, sure.
And not old or damaged or things like that, and that you're doing it in a smart way. She talked about a situation where a couple was about to use this on something and they were holding metal bars and things. It's like, oh, geez, that could go really badly. Right.
Right.
So
obviously I think you want to mix it with water play. Like, it's just like those things.
Water play. That's
the new outtake for this episode.
I only mix hair dryers with water play.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it was kind of just a good little reminder, like, hey, you can start going down a road that can actually be dangerous.
Yeah.
It can be fun and there's good things that can come from it, but it can be dangerous. And so a little bit of knowledge goes a long way.
Well, and I know another thing that we have not really seen or had much conversation about is like people that do like, what is it, like suffocation or like
airway play.
Yeah, which to me just seems really,
to me that's beyond my limits.
Yeah.
I can, let's put it this way. So here's my limit on airway play. When I
want to breathe. That's my limit.
No, if I'm focusing on it, when I orgasm, if I hold my breath to the point where it's uncomfortable, it feels good.
When you actually come?
Like as I'm coming.
Okay.
Like if I hold my breath until like it's hard to hold my breath anymore, it does feel good.
Yeah.
But I would never allow any sort of object or
belt or something,
or belt or other person or anything like that to do that for me. Like holding my breath is the limit that I'm willing to play with that.
Well, it's a control thing, right? And I think a lot of these kink plays are about control, right? And I think when you are able to let go of that control for yourself and the other person is potentially doing dangerous, quote unquote, things, like I'm sure that in of itself can be
exciting.
Yeah.
And I get that. And for me, the danger stuff, I am not totally engrossed in it, but like there's knife play.
Yeah.
There's airway play. I would kind of put electricity play in this category.
Yeah.
It's danger play.
Yeah.
It's risk play.
Yeah.
That is fine for some people. A lot of people do like that. You have to approach that with a tremendous amount of care.
Well, right. And I'm sure people even that engage in that type of play, even this guy that was talking about he was very clear. He was like, there is a right and wrong way to do this. And
he said, he kind of alluded to the fact that before we do anything, I have to ask you several questions.
Yeah. Like he has to make sure that
one of the girls in the
risk.
room said, it wasn't a pacemaker, but it was kind of like a pacemaker.
Some like neuro thing.
Neurostimulator thing.
Yeah.
And she's like, I absolutely cannot engage in this.
Well, sure. I mean, right.
And it's like, oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. Right.
Yeah.
And so that's all further down the road than I think I probably will ever want to go. But what it does kind of point to, and I do agree with this, and this is where I want to go to sensory play with you and with us, is I am rapidly learning about myself. My brain is my biggest sex organ.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
I love putting my penis in things. But
wait.
But I would rather.
Mr. Snow loves putting his penis in things. Let's
breaking news.
Breaking news.
Right. So
okay.
But
I just felt like that needed a minute.
But fine. Okay. Whatever. But I'm saying I'm getting to a point where I'm more interested in the mental stimulation than I am in just the mechanical physical stimulation.
Yeah. Well, you and I have had a lot of conversations recently about that very topic, in that men in a sexual situation versus women in a sexual situation, like with men, there's that more of that pressure to perform.
Yeah.
Like, we kind of use the example of, like, women can be thinking about a grocery list and be getting fucked, and no one knows, nobody cares. It
doesn't impede the situation at all.
Situation, right? But men, I think, in maintaining an erection and in maintaining interest, they have to be much more mentally engaged with that.
Yeah.
Because once they're not mentally engaged, like, it doesn't work, right?
It doesn't work, and you can't push a rope.
Right.
And there are obvious factors, right? I mean, there's the physical factors, guys with age, prostate things,
right?
Focus, you're too hot, you're too cold.
Right.
There's too many things going on in the room.
I think that's the thing. I think I talked about that. Like, you really need to be focused, I think. And if you are not physically comfortable and there's just so much going on, and in a club or in a hotel, like,
right,
there's usually a lot of stuff going on.
Right.
It's sometimes hard. It just can be just too much.
I suffer big time from distraction.
Yeah.
And for me, it's not cumulative in a good way.
Yeah.
If I'm in an orgy room, for example, I am curious and I want to see what's going on around me.
Right.
It causes me kind of to lose focus on what I'm doing. It doesn't necessarily add to like, I'm enjoying it, mm-hmm. and I like it, but it doesn't necessarily add to the play that I'm having in the moment. Mm-hmm. I don't even like it when we have sex with the TV on.
Right.
Because somebody yapping about the local news or the weather or whatever the hell they're talking about, it just drives me nuts. I got to turn that shit off, right? Because I can't, it's just input into my brain that's just screwing me all up.
Right.
And what I'm kind of coming around to is this idea, like with BDSM. I struggle with the BDSM term with us because I don't want to put on like a leather helmet, You don't
want to put a ball gag in?
No,
Get in the cage.
I don't need that. I don't need to put myself in a cage and wear like a cock lock and all this other stuff. Like, I don't need that myself, at least not today.
So we'll call it sensory play.
Sensory play.
Yeah,
that happens in a BDSM environment. But like, I have a major fantasy about having you on one of these St. Andrew's crosses.
Yeah. Naked.
Yeah.
Very vulnerable.
With an audience.
Open. Yeah.
With an audience, and just do sensory things with you.
Yeah. And I mean, it's funny. I talk a lot about I'm not patient, and there's a part of me that like is very turned on about that, but I think I would be very impatient with it. But in some ways, I could see myself becoming very aroused and very like the idea of me with like a blindfold and like kind of face down on this cross with my ass exposed and just like my entire body exposed, and you or whomever just rubbing on it and playing with it and spanking it and slapping it and using floggers. Like, that's exciting. Like, that is exciting. And I can only imagine, doing that for a good period of time, just because, again, when you can't see, your other senses are increased. Right.
Right.
And when you're kind of just touching very briefly or gently with a flogger or whatever, again, I could see how that could be very exciting. I imagine I would be so wet.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I mean, so open and so like the idea of doing that in a strictly kind of a foreplay kind of way.
I don't think even necessarily a foreplay, because, Tina told us when she does this with other people. Now, to be fair, it's a little bit different dynamic when she's doing it with other people, but her thing is if you have an orgasm, she has failed.
Yeah. Because her job is to just work you up.
Her job is to work you up and then tell you to fuck off. And then you go do that, right?
You go do that. Yeah.
I kind of want to take it all the way to completion. I feel like that's the the crescendo with the whole thing.
Does that happen often in sensory play in that kind? Like, I always kind of thought it was more of like build up, and then go.
Well, I think,
I guess
I think it could definitely be done that way, but could I make you come on a St. Andrew's cross? I think I could.
Like, challenge accepted.
I'm pretty sure I could.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be fun.
I think that'd be very fun.
Yeah. This is when the Amazon app comes up.
Right. This is when we start like buying things. Yeah, no, I know.
I'm like, what's this big ass box on our front porch?
I know. So I do regret that we didn't get into the impact room, because I would have liked to sort of just start experimenting with that a little bit.
Yeah. We need to see if we can find a local person. See if we can do a demo.
You know, they call them munches.
Munches?
Yeah.
Never heard this.
That's like a BDSM gathering is called a munch.
Okay.
Tina talked a little bit about them.
Okay.
And it's a lot like a swinger meetup, except that it's more BDSM focused.
Oh.
Kink focused.
I'm sure in some of the surrounding bigger cities that we are not far from that.
know, there's some kink going on.
Yeah, it's happening.
Kinky fuckers.
Those little kinky fuckers. Those kinky fuckers that you want to be a part of.
You know, that's just it. I think I do want to be a part of it because what I'm learning is I always thought I wasn't into it.
Yeah.
I always thought I was not into BDSM, and that because the idea of the ropes and the chains and leather stuff and like fucking painted on latex
Leather.
suits with breathing holes. I'm not into that. But what I am embracing is this idea that I am starting to want to explore sexuality mentally.
Right.
As much or more than physically.
Right.
And I believe that kink world is really where that happens.
Well, and I think, it's funny because forever ago, us having a conversation about swinging would be like, I would never want to do that. Right. And like, we talk about evolution. Although I really feel like this is my hard line. There will not be fire play.
I think fire play is fair.
I mean,
so
like
that was
maybe like in a year or two, if we're still doing this, like,
I don't know. That was kind of crazy. Like she was laying down.
Or like a massage table.
We kind of teased in and out of that. We didn't really explain it.
Oh my gosh.
We didn't stay around to watch it either because I thought they were going to set the fire alarm off and we were going to have to go outside naked, which would be weird. But they were on this massage table. She was on a massage table face down.
Mm-hmm.
And he had some kind of a stick that had like a metal rod that had what looked like kind of a ball of some kind on it.
Yeah.
And the ball was on fire.
Right.
And the flames were going, I don't know, 6 inches, maybe 6-8 inches. They were fairly high.
Oh, big. Yeah. It was a big flame.
And he was just gently rubbing this all over her body.
Yeah.
And I would like to know more about that. I don't think I want to do it, but I definitely would like to know more what that's all about.
Yeah.
It clearly did not hurt her.
No.
She was laying there.
Well, he wasn't like, because just like with anything else, it wasn't like, but like it wasn't stopped on her. It was very much like just waving over her body.
Right.
Well, so clearly the sensory.
I got the impression that it was touching her.
Yeah, but it was like barely touching her.
Yeah. So that's something we got to figure that one out.
I don't know if we have to figure that out.
Well, we don't have to do it necessarily. It's just
famous last fucking words.
Look, I want to operate the taser. I don't want to get the taser.
You want to operate it, but not get it?
Well, like if someone's like, oh my God, I really want to be tased.
You want to tase somebody.
Sure, I'll tase your ass. Sure. You know what? I'm a giver.
You're a giver.
I will do that for you.
Well, there you have it. Mr. Snow is willing to tase anybody who wants to be tased.
Sure.
But you don't want to get it, mean you don't want to be tased.
No, I don't want to be dropped. No.
I mean, that seems legit.
To be fair, again, we did not see anyone tased.
I feel like we're really missing out here. Like
disclaimer, that did not actually happen.
Okay.
So this is we've wandered off the trail again. So
where were we?
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, we didn't get to the bondage room.
That's true. We didn't get to the bondage room. We did get to the other couple playrooms. I will say, when I first learned that in the porn playroom that the beds were air mattresses,
right?
I was kind of like, air mattress. I don't know. I will say it worked better than I thought it would.
I mean, we managed to.
We made it work.
We made it work.
We did also kind of fall off at the end, though.
Yeah, that happened.
That there are there are certain positions that work well on an air mattress, and there are others that don't.
Well, corners tend to kind of cave in a little.
They sure do. Yep, that was not.
But I think you were on top of me, and
that was working fine.
You managed to make that work.
Yes, a couple of times.
A couple times.
That worked fine.
I just love. Oh God, there's nothing hotter in my mind than just being in this very public area with other people around, where I'm just like naked, like just spread eagle, open, ready to get it, while you're just climbing on top of me. Like, I would have invited other people to come over and play, but nobody really wanted to.
Well, there's nobody really around. I think
we missed it. I think because by the time we got there, the used towel and sheet bin was pretty
Oh, that's
full.
true. It was kind of
overflowing.
overflowing. So we, and if I'm being honest, we were occupied for parts of it, like with the recording and stuff. We were recording from probably 11 to close to midnight.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what we did for a while after that. But I think maybe if we had gone down there right about then,
yeah,
that might have been the sweet spot.
Yeah. The sweet spot.
The sweet spot.
You got my sweet spot.
The sweaty spot. The upstairs playrooms. So the whole party at, what was it, 1 in the morning? I think it's 1 a.m. The main stage shuts down. No,
the main stage shuts down at midnight because that's when the playroom's open.
Oh, and then the DJs and everything all move upstairs.
Correct.
There's like a satellite DJ station all set up upstairs.
Right.
And people were hanging up there for the crowd that wanted to keep partying. And I think that crowd by the time we got up there was much smaller.
It was.
Than the main
I think by
crowd
then people had kind of
had dispersed to whatever it is they were going to do.
Now, there were some rooms that remained open.
Right.
Like some people were in their room playing, and I'm sure there could have potentially been, I will say, we talked about this too, like, I think people were kind of roaming the halls, if you will, like walking around, looking at people's doors, looking in people's doors. I think there was a big desire for people to be engaged with something.
I agree with that.
And I would say that, like,
I felt like a lot of people were roaming the hallways looking for connections.
Right. Like if
and not,
there weren't anybody that was like, yeah, come on in and like, come play with us or come watch or come like, just talk to us.
Yeah.
There was really none of that.
I think where at least what we kind of felt like, and again, we didn't go with a big group of friends. We knew 2 people there, and we kind of had talked to some other people like on Telegram, but we didn't have like a big group.
Yeah.
A lot of people did have their rooms decorated and stuff, but you'd walk by there and the doors were open and they kind of had their stuff going on, but it didn't really have like a busy party environment going on inside a lot of the time.
It wasn't very welcoming in a sense.
And I hate the term welcoming because I'm
sure if we had stopped and talked,
I don't mean to suggest that those folks were not nice, because I don't have any reason to think that. It just, instead of welcoming, I'm going to use the word inviting.
Yeah.
People were not like actively like bringing people in necessarily to a lot of the rooms.
Yeah.
We talked about this on the way home, and we talked about, okay, so if we have a room at one of these in the future,
yeah,
what are we going to do with it? And what are we going to do differently? And keeping in mind what we really like, we had so much fun with the podcasting element.
Like the smaller, more intimate groups where you can actually talk and laugh. And I mean, and whether a gangbang breaks out, it's not necessarily a requirement, but I mean, like, I feel like that's more of an opportunity in a smaller, where you actually can sit and talk and get to know people and
party.
I mean, just have a fun time.
Right.
And if it happens to turn sexual, it could.
And hopefully it does.
Well, and if not, there's opportunities for other people to kind of branch off and do their own things.
We thought about, in a way, for, because kind of going back to this whole thing about rooms being inviting, we thought it would be fun to set up our room with like a schedule of events.
Yeah.
A schedule of things to do.
Yeah.
And I kind of, am pulling off of the fact that we had this little sign out there that at 11 o'clock, we're going to be recording this podcast.
Yeah.
And a lot of people showed up for that.
Yeah.
Which tells me that people, if
kind
they
of wanted something to do.
Exactly. If there's something to go do, I think people will do it. And so we were coming up with the craziest ideas.
We were.
Of things that would be fun to do. Recording a live podcast in a group is certainly one of them. But
playing
things
Spin
like
the Bottle.
Playing Spin the Bottle.
7 Minutes in Heaven with Mrs. Snow.
Come show us your favorite sex position.
Yeah.
Like come in and just do it. Let's see.
Just do it.
Let's just see. I want to watch this. You know what I mean? We'll hold up like scorecards, like a 7 and nobody gets better than a 7. We can't blow up people's brains here. Just interactive, fun things like that. And I think if you had like a little activity, like every hour for 15 minutes, 20 minutes tops, we're going to do a thing.
Right.
So you can come back here, do the fun thing, and then for the next 45 minutes, fuck off and go do whatever it is you're going to do or hang out or whatever.
Yeah.
But that at the top of every hour, you need to be back in this room because there's going to be something fun happening.
Right.
I think that would be a blast.
We would have a lot of fun with that. Yeah. Spin the Bottle.
Spin the bottle, whatever, just stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Like, bobbing for dildos.
Bobbing for dildos. We did talk about that one.
We talked about bobbing for dildos. Oh, deep throat contest.
Oh yeah. We did talk about that too.
The dildo deep throat contest.
Yeah. That he said that we would stick it on the tray.
On the coffee table.
On the coffee table.
And you have to get on your knees.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And extra points if you're naked when you do it.
Extra points. Because being naked has something to do with deep throating.
Well, I mean,
it helps.
Other things can happen while you're playing.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay.
See, opening doors. It's
all
about inclusiveness, right?
Because we're that way. I really think it'd be hot for me to have a kissing booth.
I think so too.
Like, come kiss Mrs. Snow.
And we could do that secretly to organize the gangbang too.
Oh, he wants to. We both do.
We do the kissing booth, and if they're good, they get a little sticker.
A little sticker. Come back at 12.
Hey, come back at midnight. Anybody with the sticker gets in.
Yeah. So it's just a lot of fun. We would do things. One thing. Initially, we were really bummed that we did not have a room there.
Yeah.
But
I still kind of was after don't get me wrong. We had a great time and we were super grateful for Alex and Joe to have us at their place.
Was very,
and actually for the first time that went very well like that.
Yeah.
But now that we've done it, I'm ready for getting a room.
Yeah. There was something to be said for being able to go across the street to a quiet room.
Because we're old.
It was 2:00 in the morning, right? Because it was my understanding, and this is what we were told, that that music and people they're up all night. Literally till 4 and 5 and 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I do not have that in me.
I do think though, even in the room that we were in, I think if you went back into the bedroom.
Yeah.
And I think there was a door on the bedroom too.
There was.
If you closed that door also.
Yeah.
I bet it wouldn't be that bad.
Maybe.
I can fall asleep in a hurricane. So
well, that's true.
We'd have to just push all the. Ooh, we might need to bring a change of sheets.
What?
You go sleep in the mess.
Oh yeah. We definitely need to change the sheets. But I think the other thing that we talked about is I don't know if I could do that for 2 days. I could see parts of that I would enjoy. There was a lot of conversation about the next morning where you kind of do your thing Friday night, everyone's doing whatever. And then that awkward breakfast in the morning at 10 o'clock, where
you can't really make eye contact.
Right. But there's also kind of the ability to connect
right
there and hey, I saw that. How'd that go?
In a more relaxed way.
A little bit more relaxed. And so more casual.
Well, they were watching, I saw pictures of this cause we had already gone home, but on those great big screens on the stage, they had college football on.
Yeah.
So people were out in the lobby during the day watching college football, and that's
cool.
Way
more casual. And,
that's cool. That's kind of a fun way to meet people. And I wish, so we came on Friday. I wish that we'd had an opportunity for that kind of meet with people
Right.
before Friday night.
Yeah, I do feel like when you are watching a football game of some sort, there in and of itself, you kind of make friends.
Yeah, sure you
Because
do.
you talk shit about the team or whatever.
Well,
You know
and
what I
you're
mean?
not like there's not any pressure or stress. Like we're all here
right.
to have fun and everybody's
Right.
relaxed and it's just you can talk to people.
Right.
And I've learned, if anything, like when you talk to people, a lot of times it just leads to other people.
Oh yeah.
You know, it kind of snowballs.
Right.
So that would have been nice to do. I think I would like to do 2 nights. I think if I were going to do 2 nights, I would just have to try to pace myself differently.
I mean, it's all about stamina, right? I mean, it's like, you know, and we and again, talk about scheduling sin, right? Like this was the first time that Mr. Snow and I had been away for an extended period of time for a night, like in a hotel room without our kids. And so like, you know, like that in and of itself.
Right.
Is exciting and fun. And so we may have gotten
ahead of ourselves.
Wow. Okay. You weren't complaining. So we may have gotten pretty frisky before we actually went over Friday night
A few
when we
times.
were supposed to be napping and resting up for the evening. And that just basically turns into us having lots of sex.
Yeah. It was very good though.
Right. But I think in doing that, like the pussy can only take so much. Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Although she was a trooper because,
she
you
was
know,
a trooper. She made
Mrs. Snow likes Pound Town. We already know this, but
population Mrs. Snow.
right. But there does come a point where you're like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah. But that's where I think if you did this, that's why I say, first of all, we did not hardly drink at all.
No, we did not, which has not usually been the case when we've gone to clubs.
Most of our lifestyle events up to this point have involved, I'm not going to say too much, but have involved alcohol to the point that it's had an effect.
Right.
And I think this is the first event we've been at where we just really didn't drink. I mean, I think I had a couple of drinks throughout the night, but not enough to make any difference.
But when you start at 7 and you're going till 2,
exactly,
like, you know, like
right?
2 or 3
like
drinks
I don't
is
think
nothing.
I ever even had like a buzz or anything.
Yeah, no.
And so it is, we talk about evolution. I don't know, when you first come into this, you're nervous, you drink a lot, maybe, hopefully you don't, but like a lot of people do, I did.
Yeah.
And you have this idea that it's just going to be this big sex fest and whatever. Like last night, it really kind of wasn't that. It was, I mean, there was definitely sex involved, but there was that social element of it too. And it was just getting to know people and talking to people and just having fun with our clothes on.
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't wearing all my clothes. I did when we recorded the bonus episode. I was back to my usual podcast uniform.
Yeah.
Which I felt better about.
Right.
But
makes all the difference.
Yeah, makes all the difference. But yeah, I think if I were going to go for 2 days, I would definitely want that sex element, but I think I would really try to pace it with a lot of fun social stuff.
Well, yeah, I think, you know, like kind of just spitballing here, like it would be kind of nice on Friday night if you put it out like as like a meet and greet going at a local restaurant, you know, instead of at the hotel, like kind of getting out and, you know, just
kind of get away. I think maybe during the day, it would be nice to get out and take a break.
Yeah.
You know, get out, maybe go work out somewhere, get some lunch.
Go to Target. Get my pumpkin spice latte.
Get a pumpkin spice latte. This all sounds like what you want to do.
What? But not everything can be what you want to do. Whatever.
But yeah, it would be nice to kind of take a break and pace yourself a little bit. But
yeah.
So the next one, they have them coming up. Like, I think there's one in December. I think they're doing one for New Year's. Both of those are out for us probably with holidays and family stuff and whatnot. I believe there's one coming in February.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be.
I think it's actually around your birthday.
I think it is.
And so we still have to figure out, and I'm still gunning for it. I don't know how we're going to make it work, but we're going to make it work that we're going to go over to the UK.
Right. We want so badly to do that and hang out with the Vanilla to Vixen folks.
Yeah.
And I really agree. I do at some point want to make sure we do that. I just don't know how we're going to do it. So we got to figure that out. The to go down to a hotel party is a lot more manageable. Mm-hmm. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. We've got a lot of fun ideas. We're already working on scheduling sin tumblers.
Yeah. And maybe like temporary tattoos. You can have my ass on yours.
Yeah. So if you have ideas about how to decorate our scheduling sin hotel room,
let
us know.
What kind of swag do you want?
Like, what kind of swag do you want?
Like if you came to a hotel party with us,
right?
Like what do you want from us? Like a sticker? Do you want a tattoo? Do you want like maybe an imprint of my tits somewhere? That sounds fun.
That could be fun. That could be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So many ideas. I will say the hotel party is a super opportunity to be creative.
Yeah.
Whereas at a club, you're much more limited in your ability to quote live there. Right. I mean,
right.
At a club, you're going, it's a whole experience. It's a night, but you're going to come and go.
Well, it's much more focused.
Right. The hotel party is,
it's like a campground in a hotel.
It's
you
like
know what I mean?
It's like a hotel.
There's more of a quote unquote community.
Yeah. Such a different vibe. Really good. I will say thank you so much to the Champagne Club for putting it on. They do an amazing job.
Yeah. For what it is and all of that goes into it, I can only imagine.
Oh, the amount of work that they must put into it is unbelievable.
And they literally shut down the hotel.
They do. It's a complete hotel takeover.
Yeah.
We heard a number of like 1,600 people.
Yeah. Crazy.
Over 2 days.
Yeah.
2.5, I guess.
Yeah. And thanks to Joe and Alex for letting us crash their room. And
they were so nice.
They were very nice.
We just came in and like completely occupied their space.
We did.
And they were so gracious about that. So that was a lot of fun. Their interview's coming up and it's not going to be. So from right now, from the time we're recording this, it's going to be about 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Because the end of this week is when Tina comes out.
Right.
And then 2 weeks from now will be when this episode comes out.
Right.
And then they're going to be right after that. So there's going to be that. But you will hear the bonus episode is going to roll out as soon as possible because I want those folks who are part of that to get a chance to hear it right away.
Yeah. So fun.
So that bonus episode will have come out quite a long time before this episode that you're listening to.
Yeah.
So you may have already heard it.
Right.
If not, shame on you.
Shame on you. What is wrong with you?
But I think that's about all we have for this one.
Yeah. We always enjoy having these conversations and sitting. And I'm not going to lie. Those orange undies are really getting me going over there, baby.
Do you want to see them up close?
I do.
Gotta go. Bye.
Bye. We want to hear from you. Email us at snowmilf@yahoo.com. That's SNOMILF@yahoo.com. You can also join us on our Discord and have some fun interactive conversations with us. The link is in the show notes. Talk to you soon. I like big cocks and I cannot lie. You other sisters can't deny when a big man walks in with a big, big dick and I don't even know.